Hello, Internet. I am Raphaham of the Grin brothers, as you'd probably assume, judging by the fact that our channel is called Grin Brothers. Anyway, I'm going to do what my brother calls a tea time, but I'm not really going to call it a tea time because I don't have a cup of tea or any drink, so this is just time. I didn't really sit down with a particular subject in mind, but judging by what I've spent most of my time doing, playing games, specifically games by Blizzard, I'm going to talk about World of Warcraft. Specifically the current expansion, the Warlords of Draenor, because it's probably the expansion I've done the most in, and I thought it'd be kind of nice considering the new expansion has been announced recently, a while ago, but recently, this year, which is the Burning Legion, or Legion. I think it's just Legion. It's got Illid in it anyway. Back on topic. So, Warlords of Draenor. For anyone that doesn't know, I play a lot of I play World of Warcraft. I wouldn't say I play a lot of it. And I've been playing it for quite a few years, but I was never very good at leveling characters up to the max level. I quite often would create new characters and get distracted and mess around with them and never get anywhere. So I only have currently one level 100 and then another character who's level 98, which I play with the oldest of my brothers. And he's that character's a warlock. But Warlords of Draenor introduced a fair few, some big new features to World of Warcraft. And in a way, I guess you could say it has had probably a bigger impact than other expansions game-wise, considering you can get a lot of gear from your garrison. But I've never done a raid properly, but I'm building up to do a raid with my level 100 horde, just sorting out gear and stuff and getting ready. But anyway, I should probably focus a bit more. I want to talk about things that I really liked from Warlords of Draenor and things I hope that get carried over to Legion in some form or another. Because the garrison is a feature that I absolutely love. And in some senses it doesn't work great because it suffers from a problem that I believe most MMOs have, wherein the game tries to make out like you are the great hero, despite quite often having a whole raid party of said great heroes. But they kind of got around that with having garrisons phased, which I think works, because that way you can build it to be more like you want, and other people won't be there, so it feels more personal. I would have liked to have been able to customize the designs a bit, maybe. So you could maybe choose what your buildings look like, maybe alter the layout a little bit. But I can understand why they didn't do that straight away. I'd have felt it would have made a nice addition in a later patch, but I doubt we'll see that now. And I liked basically everything about the garrison, the followers and all that. Didn't quite enjoy the fact that everyone can get ore from a mining area and herbs, despite the fact that not all of them have that profession. I feel that kind of takes away from having to trade with people, because there's almost no reason to do any trading in that game. You can pretty much get to level 100 without interacting with other people. The only time you need to interact with other people is for dungeons and raids, or if you do PvP, I guess PvP. But I'm not a PvPer. But I want the garrison to be able to have an effect on Legion in some way, or to be able to carry it over. And I'm kind of hoping to a degree that that's what the class bunkers, or whatever they are, I don't actually know the name, I'm going to call them class bunkers, are going to be like, but I have a feeling they're going to be different. And like, you're not going to have followers and all that, because I like being able to have the bodyguard. I feel the bodyguard is a nice addition, although I'd have liked to been able to choose from more characters than they have on offer. Yeah, and for people that don't know, the bodyguard, you can basically choose one of your followers to accompany you throughout the Draenor areas and fight alongside you. If you have the right building and assign the person to that thing. But only people with a certain trait can be assigned to the building. But yeah, I also feel they could have improved on the bodyguard feature a bit by allowing you more control over the person. For example, being able to disable certain moves or abilities of theirs, or have it so you could turn them from aggressive to passive, like you do with pets. And I have a feeling they'll have something similar to it, because it's kind of a thing that carried over from Mists of Pandaria. I want another zone like Tannan Jungle, and the Timeless Isles, because I feel having a zone where you can get all this gear to help you to get into the raids by doing player versus enemy things and doing quests, is quite nice, because it's not too grindy, and it's a nice, I find it to be nicer than doing certain dungeons, because I feel more confident if I have someone I know in a dungeon with me. And of course you can't always do that, but I also like how in those zones, if you start attacking a rare, same applies in all of Draenor, and I'm hoping it carries over to the next one. When you fight a rare, if anyone joins you, no matter Horde or Alliance, you will all be able to loot from that enemy, and the enemy gains strength based on how many people are attacking it. Which is something I really liked about Draenor. I'm not quite sure how some of the plot details go in Draenor, due to having not necessarily done all the dungeons, which do have some plot information to them. But from what I've done quest-wise, having completed the Horde quest, I would say I quite enjoyed the story, but due to the fact that it's an alternate timeline, it's kind of difficult to understand everything. And I'm hoping Legion's plot will be easier to follow, because I'm hoping they'll have less alternative dimension people and alternate timeline people, because the ultimate timeline stuff is really, really annoying. But I think they managed to pull it off pretty well, all things considered. Because overall you can pretty much understand it. Like, it's not the most complicated plot, but do feel alternate timelines was a bit of a weird way for them to go, and I kind of like that they're I think they're going away from it, but I like the fact they're going back to the Legion. I guess maybe this was just a way to set things up. further features from Draenor that I really liked. There's features I didn't like as well, actually. And that would mostly be the professions. Because I don't mind the idea that you have weaker items you can make, even if your profession isn't the right level to make the proper gear. Like, normally, to make the gear in Miss Pandaria, I'd have had to have my tailoring up to 500 to 600-ish, or whatever. Whereas in this one, you can get up to 700, but a lot of the stuff you can make without having it that high. And I find that's quite nice, because it makes it easier to get your gear level up, your profession level up, without having to go back and find all the items and grind for wool, in my case, because I was a tailor. Or even when I was trying to level up engineering with my other character, it was a nightmare, because parts are everywhere for engineering. You have to go mine things to make things, to mine things, to mine things, to make things. And I didn't enjoy it that much, so I like how they made it so you could level your stat up easier. But I don't like how equipment works for professions in Warlords of Draenor. And I understand why they have done it that way, because they've made it, the way everything's done is it's really easy to get the stuff to make the cat's on the desk, so if you hear any noises, it's probably the cat's fault. It's really easy to get the equipment and make the items from your professions, in comparison to usual anyway. And that's because you have the garrison that provides you with all the resources you need, and you only really occasionally have to go out to collect things depending on your profession. But because of this, they didn't want people leveling up their profession before they leveled themselves up and equipping themselves with gear that is stronger than they should have. Because the way it would have worked is I could have had my character equipped pretty much fully with gear that is stronger than anything I'll get from any quest throughout the areas until maybe I get to Tanaan Jungle, where some of the gear might be better. But their solution to this was to make it so that you could only have 3 pieces of equipment equipped if they were crafted, and they'd have like a special tag that's like Draenor crafted or something, and you can have 3 of them equipped. So as a tailor, the things I make consist of mounts sometimes, a battle pet which doesn't fight, bags, and clothes. And I would normally have made myself a full set of clothes, a robe, a hat, trousers, belt, dogs, shush! And all that nonsense. Sorry about the dogs barking, as you can probably hear. But I'd equip myself with all that nonsense, and then I would have gone out and done the questing with all the gear. But now, instead of being able to equip a full set, I've only got a hat, a cloak, and shoulder pads or something equipped. And so there's not really much else I can make that's useful to me. I can make bags, which are helpful to a degree, and I'll make the pet and stuff, but beyond that, I've made 3 items. That's all the items that I really need to make. I'm done. Tailoring's basically finished. The only other thing I need to do is upgrade them, but I can't do that yet because I don't have one of the items. And I think this is kind of silly, because it makes tailors, leather workers, and blacksmiths a lot more redundant in their job, because their job is to make armour, and in the case of the blacksmith, they make weapons as well. And so the other professions, in theory, would be more useful. I don't know how useful all of them are at this level. I know engineering's more useful because you get more useful stuff made from it. You get gadgets and stuff which help you out in certain situations, and they can only make 2 pieces of equipment anyway, which are goggles and guns. But they also seem to take away a lot of the fun things that classes could make. Engineers can still make toys, but a lot of the old stuff we can make is things that we like, kind of like an enchantment, where we equip it to our items, and it would be things like shoot a rocket at an enemy or activate a shield to protect you. And we don't... Tailors used to be able to create enchantments only for their equipment, so their tailored clothes would be increased with things like spell power. And blacksmiths used to be able to create, I think it was spikes on the shields or something, which I don't think they can make anymore, which I think did damage when enemies hit them or something. Not entirely, I don't entirely remember. But I feel professions, I hope they do more with them in the next expansion pack, because that's one thing I definitely don't like for Warlords of Draenor, is the professions. But overall, I think Warlords of Draenor was actually quite a good expansion pack. As I said, I've yet to really do any raids or dungeons. So maybe I'll say my opinion on them later or something. I don't know. I've rambled on for a bit long, so I should probably stop. So I guess I hope you enjoyed this, if you're crazy enough to watch it and actually listen through to this end. And well, thank you for listening if you did. But bye, and have a good day and whatnot.